Hello and welcome to the 100 Indie Artists Project. This is a music project designed for and by independent artists to help you firstly get to know some of the incredible musicians in your community, as well as get to know some insights and some tools that you can take on board with your own musical marketing journey.
G'day. It's a pleasure to be sitting in on this little initiative by Sounds on the Couch. So thank you to them for having me. My name's Daniel Aaron, and I suppose we'll get right into it.
Tell us about who you are as an artist and your background.
So my name's Dan. For my music, I go under Daniel Aaron. I am a solo indie roots musician, and my background is very much country oriented. I grew up in rural Victoria, really small farming town, with quite a very rural culture there. No music scene or anything. Population of about 400 people, so it was very farming oriented, and oriented around the football netball club, which I never played footy or never was involved in much of that. So I spent from about the age of 8, spent most of my time playing music and learning different instruments and just really sticking my head into all of that stuff. I started on the drums when I was 8 years old, and was getting lessons at school on the drums for about 4 years before I picked up some stringed instruments and some more melodic instruments, and then just sort of exploded from there. I started learning as many instruments as I could. Hence the nature of my sets now. I do a solo multi-instrumental sort of thing, play a bunch of different instruments. As an artist now I live on the coast, and I've really found much more of my niche with my music and my style. So it's very much that sort of singer-songwriter, solo, troubadour kind of thing. Given my background and where I come from in the country and not really having any music scene there, like when I started gigging, I was having to travel at least an hour for any gigs. And that was sort of started off around 16 or so, 15, 16, and my parents would be traveling all over the place with me for gigs, which I'm super grateful for. But because of the nature of that, I never really developed as a musician collaborating or playing with other people, so it took me a long time to figure out how to play with others and jam with others and sort of get some experience doing that. And that's developed much of the nature of my sets as well, and the solo multi-instrumental kind of thing. So I've taken a lot of inspiration from many different artists, like Tash Sultana, Xavier Rudd, John Butler. Xavier Rudd and John Butler are sort of the big two now, which you would be able to kind of associate my set with playing like the 12-string guitar and different guitars, open tunings. I play the didgeridoo. I've got a bunch of effects and looping and that kind of thing, stomp box and foot tambourine, with some sampling and that kind of thing. So it's a pretty in-depth setup.
What musical projects are you working on right now?
At the moment, I'm actually working on an album at the moment, a debut album. I've spent many years sort of developing my writing and that kind of thing, and narrowing my style down a little bit, because over the years that I've been writing and composing my own content, it's been very, very broad, from sort of your indie rock and proggy rock to some blues and riffy rootsy stuff, to indie folk and really soft and melodic kind of stuff, which has always been something that's on my mind in the way of, marketing. It's really hard to market all of that kind of thing. So at the point where I am now, I'm starting to identify where my passions lie a little bit more in culture and in country and in sort of connection to place and environment and land, and that's speaking through my music more now. So that's sort of finding a bit more place. So, and that's all coming together with this album that I'm working on. Prior to this, I've only released a couple of singles, but I've spent the last year and a half now working with a producer in Melbourne, Michael Balsar. He's a fantastic fellow, and I'm so grateful to have met him We've been working together for a little while now, and I've got 6 tracks down off this album. I've released 2 so far as singles, and super stoked with where all that's heading. So hopefully this album will be out towards the end of the year, and I'll be putting together some pretty cool stuff for that. A bit of band kind of thing, and some backline, and doing some release shows, and some other fun things. So I'm really stoked to be doing that, and looking forward to all that brings as well.
Where do you feel that you're at in your musical journey right now, and where would you like to get to?
I feel that I am right where I need to be, which is how I feel, but that doesn't really give anyone much insight. So I feel like where I'm at now has been the journey of a lot of hard work and dedication, as with most musicians in this industry. It's a very hard-working industry. I feel like it's been such a journey of growth, and I feel like I've grown so much as a person and a personality, and that is really reflected through my music and in the way that I find so much more ease with that now. Yeah, a lot of personal growth. And my music's always been there. It's sort of like a sidekick. It's like a mirror. It's like a mirror to me in my internal state and my conscious state, and however that is reflects through my music, and how rigid or how soft I am with my music, and how that reflects in how I'm writing as well. And where I'd like to get to is a great question, and I don't really have a specific answer to that. I guess I have a bunch of ideals and goals and that kind of thing, and one being to sustain a livelihood from a career in music, whatever that may look like. Ideally, performance. That's what I'm going for, and I love it, and it brings me so much passion and so much solace, and shared experience, and so much appreciation through others as well. And that's where all that fire comes from. But something that's always been a core driver for me and pursuing a career in music is for it to be a vehicle for positive change or positive influence. I'd really love to and if it wasn't music, in whatever way that I was pursuing a pathway in my lifestyle, I think that would be the core driver. So I think that's a reflection of my personality as well. But through my music, I would love to develop it to a place through honest, hard work, where I can have enough sort of, or at least some voice in the industry or in a wider audience, or an outreach of some sort to influence positive change, and not just through my opinions and beliefs or research or that kind of thing, through collaboration with others and other organisations, and this is all very much in the future and that kind of thing. But this is the core driver. I'm very passionate about culture and Indigenous Australian culture and First Nations people, First Nations culture. Here, and that's something that really drives my music, and I love standing up for that and uplifting that culture, and also the environment, and in direct relation to that, the health of the environment, because without a healthy environment, without a healthy and prosperous environment and natural places, there is a lack of connection to nature and those natural places and land and place. So that's where I'd like to get to. I don't know what that looks like, but that's the core aspiration within that.
What do you love most about being an independent artist?
Freedom of choice is obviously a big one. I don't have to report to anyone. Freedom of choice, freedom of expression. That's really important to me, because I suppose another core driver with my music is honesty, because for me, the passion that drives my creation and creative self is honest passion. And if ever that were to be veiled by something that I had to report that wasn't honest, I think I would really struggle to find that creative space and maintain that. So that's really great, being an independent artist. And also networking, collaboration, meeting people like the grassroots sort of emerging independent community is really beautiful. So many beautiful, amazing people, driven people, and collaborating in that way and meeting these people, and that's really great too.
What do you find the most challenging about being an independent artist?
Maintaining creative momentum and passion drive alongside the time it takes to build like financial capital and the momentum in the business side of things, because sometimes I have all of these ideas and all of these things that I want to get down, but as an emerging artist and an independent artist, building the financial capital to be able to action these things in the time that reflects the composition or creativity that I'm putting out can be difficult. So sometimes the time it takes to build that capital to be able to action these things isn't as fast or isn't as momentous as the passion and the creative side of things. So working with that and finding patience. So there's a lot of positive result in finding a lot of patience, which I think is very important as an independent musician myself, with a very long-term lens of a career in music. It's something that, I'm in for life. This is my lifestyle. So yeah, that's challenging. It is challenging, but it has silver linings, and there's so much to be grateful for. The fact that I can finance my own pursuit in this space to any degree is amazing. So that's positive, but also it's still a challenge. Yeah, definitely a challenge. It's funny, I guess this is sort of a B-side to the positive, to the what do I love about being an independent artist, but networking through another lens and outsourcing to people, sometimes it can be hard to know where to start, especially with like PR and marketing and that kind of thing, and knowing where to start with that sort of stuff. And I suppose if you were signed to an agency or a label or something, they would have all the contacts and all the networking and that kind of thing, or do it for you. So that's tricky as well. But I think it's, again, I'm very much a cup half full person. It's positive in the way of building really good social skills and rapport and attitude towards reaching out to people and good social networking and that kind of thing. So,
what has been your experience in marketing and promoting your music?
I haven't had a tremendous amount of experience marketing and promoting my music so far, and it's something that I'm navigating a lot and starting to really think about heavily with this album that's coming up, because it's something that I really want to try and do a good job of it, because I think the content that I've been working on with Michael in Melbourne is really good, and I think it has a lot of potential. I have a lot of belief in it, so I want to try and market it well. So I don't have a lot of experience. I've done a lot of research myself and been to workshops and seminars and that kind of thing, like Music Victoria and APRA AMCOS and so forth, and a bunch of resources that are available to me that I've made the most of, which I'm super grateful for, and sort of just figured out a lot of it on the way. In 2018, I released a single, and that got me a set at Groove in the Moo in Bendigo, and that sort of really ticked me over into a bit more business mind. And after that, I was sort of wanting to try and make the most of that momentum from that publicity through playing Groove in the Moo and through Triple J Unearthed and that kind of thing. So there was a lot of experience with marketing and PR there, and how I can keep this going. And it was a lot of work, but to me, it's like when I visualize PR and marketing, it's this big sort of grey bubble of lack of substance for me. So that's something that's a tricky one. And it's forever changing. It's such a fluid thing. So especially after the last couple of years, and how we market now, I think looks a lot different. Well, my experience with that has all been live and marketing myself at gigs and live settings. So something that's really opened my eyes to is the importance of fan engagement and investing in people who show appreciation to my product, my music. And and because of that, pretty much most of the fan base that I've built has been through live gigs and word of mouth and whatnot so far. So that's I think that's a really good thing to have learned so far, and a really good basis to build off, because that transfers to media-based marketing or live or whatever platform that comes through. So that's something that I've found really important. And the little things count. Little things count a lot of the time. We're in a very busy world. A lot of time we don't have the energy to invest into the little things, but I think it's easy to invest that at gigs and, talking with people afterwards and sharing whatever's required at gigs and that kind of thing. But yeah, still navigating a lot of that and looking forward to learning a lot more about it.
What has been one thing you've learnt along the way that has been the biggest game changer for you in music marketing?
Stickers in toilets. I've recently, just a couple small gigs that I'm going to and playing, stickers in toilets. I got a gig from a sticker in a toilet the other day, but I thought that was pretty awesome. The chances of that are relatively small.
What has been your experience with building a fan base, and what have you learnt along the way?
I've learned a lot about sort of analytics and that kind of thing through streaming platforms and social media platforms that we have access to, which is really good to be aware of that, because that's something that I'll hopefully be required to utilize down the track. And after releasing this album and doing some release shows, that's something where that'll very much come into play. But so far, most of the fan base and most of my experience with building a fan base has been performance based. So very much investing in social interaction and fans, and taking that time to talk to people and making really positive influences and I've had some really, really touching social exchanges with people after gigs, some which have brought about tears and that kind of thing. And those moments are really, really beautiful, and they have a really positive influence on people and me, and people remember that. And then word of mouth is a very powerful thing as well. So, and I think that's really important at the sort of tier that I'm in within the music industry and emerging. I think it will develop a really strong fan base really strong and sort of loyal fan base to move forward from.
Earning an income within music can be very challenging and often requires a diverse source of income streams. What are some of the streams of income you have relating to your music?
This. Sound engineering. Not studio-based stuff specifically as much, but I'm also a sound engineer and dabble in that side of the industry as well. And so it's something I'm looking to do more of, because I think it really builds up the performance side of things and the fundamentals to go forward in the performance side of the industry. So I do some performance work. I do some contract-based performance work. Engineering work and production work, not performance work. I do that alongside my performance, and I love that too. And I think I have been studying and still am studying sound engineering as opposed to performance. And I think that's probably one of the best choices I made in regards to study, is not performance and sound engineering, because one, it opens up so many more different avenues and pathways within the industry, and two, it gives me so much fundamental knowledge and framework around everything that goes into performing and recording and studio bass and that kind of thing. And it's built up my performance so much. Aside from that, I mean, nothing else music related. I do some other part-time work as well in some sort of different ways. I've done a little bit of sort of workshops and tuition things here and there, just sort of sporadic things when I've been reached out to. But aside from the production and engineering side of things, just other kind of hospitality, part-time work and that sort of thing.
What advice would you give to an artist that's watching or listening to this who is beginning to embark on their own independent musical journey?
And I find it hard to not be vague with that question, because it's easy to overcomplicate what it looks like to embark on a musical journey, because we live in such a distracted world and there's so much content and stuff out there. So I think it's really important to remember that as a musician, that the whole thing is that the stimulus to a musical journey is that creative core, and that is where it all comes from. Without that, there is no product to sell, to market through a business lens. And there is several different links in the chain, and we tend to polish our brightest links or something, and the dirtiest ones rust, or in a metaphorical sense. But there's all these different things that we must tend to maintain a musical career or musical journey, or when embarking on that. But without that investment into creative core and learning how to grow with your own creative process and maintain that and uplift that within yourself is really important. So I think that needs to be something that's always there. And have patience. It's very easy to want to put yourself, to hit the ground running, put yourself out there straight away and just, get in the eye of the public and that sort of thing. But I think it's really good to have patience and know your intentions going forward into the music industry. So I think why I say patience for me is because for me, a pursuit in music is lifelong. My intention is for that to be lifelong in whatever way that looks like, even if it's not career-based anymore at some point along the line, it's lifelong. And generally that's the case. Passionate people who embark on a musical journey don't foresee it being a temporary thing most of the time. So I think find patience and know where you are, learn about the industry and know where you sit in that, and know your sort of audience, or get to know what that may look like, and have the patience to know when to action the right steps to take you to the next level and keep progressing. But at the same time, when you're emerging and learning all these things, it's hard to know what that looks like, and sometimes you have to put yourself out there too early and be a bit embarrassed to know what that looks like or something like that. But there's always something to learn from these experiences. So I hope whoever's listening to that can take something from that, because that's some things that I've learned along the way, and it's made a very, very big difference, especially over the process of recording this album. I've learned to let a lot go and find patience and just non-attachment and acceptance in where I am now and what I'm doing now, and how that is going to act as a springboard to or take me further. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. I'll be a part of this little initiative by Sounds on the Couch. My name's Daniel Aaron. Thank you.